So I want you to go on a journey with me today. Imagine that you are standing in a humongous crowd of people and you are waiting, and each one of them has a price tag. And on that price tag, they have written down what they think you're worth. And you're standing there insecure and uncomfortable, and you're waiting for the opinions of all these people to tell you what your value is. That sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? But yet, that's what we do. That's what we do on a regular basis. We get on social media, we post something, and we're waiting for somebody to give us that thumbs up. We do something out of our comfort zone, and then we don't get the approval that we want, and then we're like, I'm not valuable because they didn't like it. Well, here's the thing about that. People are too flawed to generate what your worth is, and you're too flawed to generate your own self-worth as well, because we view things through a very, very little tiny lens, a very narrow lens. We view things through our personality. We view things through our hurts. We view things through rejection and shame. And so our viewpoint as humans is very flawed. We cannot generate our own self-worth. So where do we find our value? Where do we find our self-worth? We find it in the Word of God. So I'm going to read this to you today, and it just hit me so squarely between the eyes. Isaiah 53, 5-7 says, He, and they're talking about Jesus, was wounded for our transgressions. What? Jesus was wounded for my transgression? He was crushed for our wickedness? He was crushed for my sin, for my wrongdoing. The punishment for all my sins and all my wrongdoing and my well-being fell on him. He did that for me. He did that for you. And by his stripes we are healed. Isn't that amazing? God himself did for us what we cannot do for ourselves. But we try to do it for ourselves. We try to generate our own self-acceptance and our own self-worth. We try to prove that we're worth something by trying to be perfect, but we're never, ever going to be perfect. We're too flawed. So what do we do with those flaws? Well, we bring them to God and we say, Lord, today, Jesus, my Father, I'm struggling. I'm struggling with jealousy. I'm struggling with bitterness. That person hurt me and I have been holding on to anger. Lord, I have been trying to do things on my own. Lord, I'm worried. Lord, I've been fretting. Lord, I'm struggling with lust. Lord, I'm struggling with addiction. I'm struggling with these things. And he's like, okay, I bled and died for all those things. You don't have to be perfect. Now, that doesn't mean that he wants us to continue going on sinning. No, he wants us to cast those weights off of us. He wants us to put those things aside, and he wants us to view ourselves and view others through his lens. He gives us gifts. He made you authentically you for a purpose. He made you quirky and weird and fun or serious, whatever it is. He used it. He gave it to you for his glory. He didn't give you these gifts so that you would have, a tool to sin. No, he gave you these gifts so that you could use them to further his kingdom. And he deserves it. He deserves our all. He deserves us giving our all to further his kingdom. So God's grace is our undeserved, unmerited favor. It's the favoritism of God. You are a favorite of God. You don't deserve it, but you're his favorite. And now, how does that feel to be his favorite? That's your price tag. That's your value. You're valuable to him because he said so. He thought you were saving, so he came and he saved your life by dying on the cross. That's your value. Now, walk in that value.